Yeah. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Doggie Diamonds. This is Keep It 1000. You see what's on the screen. You know why you click this. Before we get into this, before I bring my guest on to drop some information on you, let me run my intro really quick. Yeah, so I'm Doggy Diamonds. This is the Keep It 1000 show. You see who's on the screen. You know why this is on the screen. So let's just get this correct. The guy in the front, that would be Hakim Green. The guy in the back would be Clive Davis. Don't get it twisted. So when you see my man Hakim, don't be like, Clive Davis, you did this, that, and the third, or Clive Davis, I heard you such and such. No, there is a difference between Hakim Green and Clive Davis. They all kind of, the complexion is very, very similar. I can't. I'm not the one to talk smack about it because my complexion ain't the darkest in the world. But I got Hakeem Green on the phone. Hakeem, what's going on?
Peace. What up, dog? What's going on, bro? You already know what it is.
Yeah, chilling. You know
Yes,
how we do.
sir.
We always try to when we link, we trying to give people information. We could talk about all the hoopla going on and that, but we try to give people information that they need. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, sir. Yes,
the
sir.
title of this is very, very deep, very
Mhm.
controversial. Did Clive
Yeah.
Davis help destroy black music? So, where do you,
Wow.
yeah. So me and you had a previous conversation.
Mhm.
The day before yesterday, I believe. It was Sunday, and we're now
Mhm.
where we at today. And I was like, wow, that's an interesting conversation that needs to be had publicly. And you was like, yo, let's do it. I'm with it. So that's what brings us here today. So Clive Davis, big music executive in the business for like I think he
Shoot,
signed,
50
he might have
years.
signed Jesus. Yeah, he might have signed Jesus. He signed Moses.
Yeah,
He's
50, 60
yeah,
years. He's been around for a long time.
yeah,
Long time.
he
There's a real good book called The Hitman. If you
okay.
read that book, like it predates Clive Davis actually, but you kind of get to see where his lineage cut falls under and who kind of gave
Yeah.
him wind under his wings and shit. So to really understand the full picture.
So he
Yeah.
comes he goes back to like phonographs and stuff like that. So he goes way back, and then it's 2019 and he's still pretty much relevant, as for what he did in the business. So this is a big thing to say. So I want to be able to show and prove what you're saying and why you're saying it. So, what made you come up with this assessment that Clive Davis might have had something to do with destroying black music?
I was first put on to that concept. It's funny. One of the music industry legends, black music industry legends, Mr. Gerald Busby.
Okay.
I got a chance to work up under him when he was with Mike City. Well, Mike City was with Mr. Busby. They did a project with Carl Thomas. So we, in doing that project, we just got a chance to get some of the jewelry being dropped by one of the legends in the game. Gerald Busby's responsible for New Editions of the World. Like, I mean, he goes back well beyond New Edition. Gerald Busby's been around for like ever. But anyway, um, the Carl project was one of the last projects he worked on before he passed. So I think he was just trying to pull certain people close and give us some information that could really help us in the long run, in the big picture. And one of the things that he said through this email that he sent out, he talked about the strength of black music in the 70s and how that was broken through the concept of the black music department.
Mm.
How being up in the building, getting jobs at these major corporations, kind of stole the value from the black community. We were so busy trying to get up in the building that we lost our roots from our homes. What the independent market had a stranglehold on black music in the 60s and the 70s, and a lot of those independently owned record labels and businesses were black owned. And when you get to like the 70s and the 80s, you see how that kind of falls apart. And then we, as a member of the illegal broadcasters, me and the homie General Steele, big shout out to Cynical and Almitra, we got a chance to interview Dr. Bob Law and Davy D.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Law goes into that whole concept of losing black music, how we lost black music, how powerful black music was prior to like the 70s and the 80s and the 90s in terms of our relationship to the community and a bunch of things. And when you start doing the research, you see that, the state of black music right now is something that was, set in motion really in the late 1800s with vaudeville and Coon music and the minstrel shows and what we see going on today is really just a rehashing of the old stereotypes to keep black people in a blind, deaf, and dumb state. When we get a chance to own our music and own our masters and own the means of production and distribution, you see that the black community is a lot healthier than when we don't. And looking at the state of music right now, you see the results of it. Now going into Clive Davis specifically, he was responsible for what's called the Harvard Music Study. Let me get it correct. The Harvard Music Study, a study of the soul music environment prepared for Columbia Group, and that's Columbia Group as in Columbia Records.
Okay.
And what happened was that coming out of the 60s, when you get the Motowns, you get the Philadelphia International, you get the Stax, you get these black-owned companies, like there were, probably maybe hundreds of these companies all across the country, independently owned and operated, because we were shut out. There was segregation. We weren't part of the system, so we had to do for self. We were forced to have our own businesses and our own networks and our own community on every level, including music. The promoters, the radio jocks, all these were black people, black men and women who held their own, who did their own thing independently of white major record labels. Collectively, together, they sold more music than the major record labels, like significantly more. Black music, there was more black music sold in America than any other form of music going on. We're talking about the 60s. So you're talking about, all those great groups, the Supremes and the Jacksons and Marvin Gaye and the Stevie Wonder when he was early and the Temptations and the Four Tops and the list goes on and on. Our parents, our grandparents was laying it down and doing it to a point where they were selling more music than the major corporations. All right. Now the effect of that was in 1967, Martin Luther King basically thanked the National Association of Black Broadcasters. I'm actually reading from Bob Law, History of Black Radio and the Removal of Black Militant Thought.
Okay, so let me get that
to them. With Davey D.
So you want me to bring that up?
Goes in, yeah, bring that up. Bring it up, yeah, because he goes into the actual Harvard Music Study. He discusses it, and this is just a transcription of some of what was said.
Okay.
But
it's on the screen.
Bob Law pinpoints much of this removal, talking about the militancy in black music, pinpoints much of this removal with the release of the 1972 Harvard Report, officially known as Study of Soul Music Environment. This was a white paper commissioned by Columbia Records and done by a group of Harvard business students on how to take over the black independent music scene. Clive Davis was the head of Columbia at that time. Law details how the report coincided with other attempts in film and TV to eradicate, marginalize, ridicule, strident, politicized black voice in the music and entertainment industry. To go down, during our discussion, we played an excerpt from the speech given to black music industry executives by Minister Farrakhan in 1979, who makes note of this change. Now, before 72, black radio broadcasters, just black music reflected times. You had the Black Power movement. You had the Civil Rights movement. We had, James Brown, Black and I'm Proud. You had Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. You had all these different artists who wanted to represent a certain messaging in the music. Not only was it conscious, but it was selling. Not only was it selling to black people, it was selling to everybody. Everybody was soaking it up. You see how powerful that voice is, how powerful that message is. You understand, wait a minute, these are the people who might be able to challenge us for the real power. So we got to take the legs out from under it. That Harvard Music Study was Harvard and Clive Davis, Columbia Records, studying how to wrestle black music away from black people. The answer was basically, give niggas some money. Give them some money.
Cut and dry, right?
Cut and dry. Give them some money. And that's when you get the idea of a black music department at a white label.
Let me cut you 1 second, Hakim. The last line of this article is very, very essential that I'm reading over, and hopefully as you're talking, people are able to pause what we're saying and read this because it's on the screen. This is on
Mm-hmm.
hiphopandpolitics.com. I will make sure all these links are in the description of this video so you can go do all your own research for yourself. This is great for you to do your own research. But it says, during our interview, Lord details what took place after King gave that speech. He explained how that Natra was destroyed by white industry executives who were concerned about their growing power and political influence. The destruction and silence has never stopped. So that goes into what you're saying. And NATRA is the National Association in Television and Radio
Radio
Announcers. But
announcers.
this was
Mm-hmm.
the black, the black black people that he thanked. So what you're saying, this coincides with Bob Law said that they was like, hold up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
hold up, y'all really, really, because via music, via speech, via moms and pops, um, it was almost a network because we wasn't in. So we had to create our own, which was done. I remember like Al Green had a record label. Um,
Mm-hmm.
James Brown had a few record labels, and they
Mm-hmm.
had to do this because they wasn't in. So what Bob Law said, and you'll be able to research all this yourself, was like them seeing the power that we had in creating our own. They was like, hold up, they're creating our own, and they're also being able to have a network that we're not in on. They're also making money, and they're also outselling us. And when you say black music, this predates hip hop because
No,
we
it's predates hip hop.
yeah,
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 no
because
doubt.
we're taught now that black music is hip hop, and that's it, because that's the only thing, and we'll go into why that happened. This is what all of this created. But I hope I didn't make you lose your point, but I just wanted to point that out as.
No,
Go ahead though.
no, it's okay because with this particular conversation, it's a broad conversation and it's a very specific conversation. Because we're talking about Clive Davis and his specific involvement in the structure of black music. Having the reference points, I think is just great for the listeners to know. Okay, and we go to the Harvard report to see what it actually says, and you can buy a copy of the book. It's on Amazon.
I'm gonna
All
bring
right,
that
it's
up.
called the Harvard Report,
I'll bring that up.
censored by
That's up.
Dr. Logan H. Westbrooks.
That's on the screen also, so you can go the Harvard report. I'll put that link in
Right.
the description. Even though I don't get PC, we don't get PC over none of this, but we gonna do this. When it says the Harvard report, the study of soul music environment prepared for Columbia Group. And then if you look at the bottom right here where you see where mouse is at, it said almost after almost 50 years, the release of the complete Harvard report, a study of the soul music environment prepared for the Columbia Records Group, which was studied which was a feasibility study and suggested marketing strategy for CRG, which was the Columbia Records Group. So when we thinking about marketing and promotion, a lot of times when we talk about the industry and we try to tell people, yo, this shit is marketed to you, it's promoted to you, people be like, no, it's not, and all that. Yes, it is. They actually came together and realized, yo, how can we push certain narratives? How can we do certain things to make them change their mindset, make them change their message, and make them change how they carry themselves? And it goes
Right.
back to what Hakim said: give niggas some money.
Giving it some. It's also when you say marketing promotions, right? Those are just nice, cute words to say propaganda. And when you hear
Facts.
propaganda, you automatically think politics. You think of mind control and politics. Well, essentially, that's what marketing and promotions is: a way to get the masses of people to follow a particular message. And everything is political. Even when you're not political, it's a political reason why you're not political, and your non-politicized mind benefits people who are political. So, like, all this shit is like, it's very necessary for us to understand, even though it's entertainment. And, I'm sure you go into the whole enter means to go in. Tain is the Latin root is to obtain and control, and ment means mind. So entertainment is to go in and control your mind. Like he's like, oh, he getting too deep. He getting too
Oh,
deep.
but if you want
real
to get
way,
deep too,
on a real way, that's what it's about.
but
Like,
peep this though,
you
right?
know,
Another thing, mint is also could be money. So control your money. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
control
another
your
word.
money.
So
Ooh, wow, yeah,
yeah, mint is another
yeah.
word for money. So
So, but
not. Go
to
ahead.
go broad though, right? So, you know, Coon music. Like there's actually a genre of music that was created in the late 1800s called Coon music, Coon, where they had white folks in blackface imitating black people and making records. This is when the phonograph records first, like recorded music, first went out. You know, the earliest recordings were Coon music, and you can look that up right now.
I'm doing that right now.
And
Go ahead,
and
talk.
Coon music was a genre of music that mimicked the stereotypes of black people. But most of the Coon music artists were white people. So you got white people mimicking black people on some stereotype shit, getting paid crazy money, and black people can't even have access to these positions. Then we started having access to this position. The role that we're playing didn't get better. Like your role itself didn't elevate. Now, okay, they got you doing it. You're making coin off of it, but you still, your people are staying in place. You still never get past the point of playing the fool, right? So when we look up through hip hop, what do we have now? You know, I'm not going to say all trap music is Coon music, but we know what, and not just trap music is Coon music, because we got music that's not trap music. That's basically Coon music. It's people playing out stereotypes. It's people playing out how the oppressor sees you. That's what we're going to get money to eat. We're going to play ourselves. And that's where we at right now. We see a lot of records that are just in the vein of Coon music. So when you call people a coon, they get upset. Like, look, but this is what this says. Look, this is all you doing. You being a coon. This is something that was created in the late 1800s, directly after slavery. This is not no new term that we just created, you know, to degrade a thing. This is what the thing is.
So what I'm looking up right now, it says coon songs were a genre of music that were presented a stereotype image of black people. They were popular in the United States and the United Kingdom from around 1880 to 1920, though the earliest such date from minstrel shows as far back as 1848. And this is via Wikipedia. I know a lot of people don't like Wikipedia, but what Wikipedia I do like, you have to provide sources, and you can see some of the sources at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, many people can change things, yes, but there's sources here. So if you don't like what you know, you can actually click the numbers, and the numbers always give you a source, you know, where you can go for yourself and look it up, you know. So but we can also go back. What I like to do is go back to Coon, you know, Coon songs, and it says Coon songs, a racial stereotype in America popular song. Because I just Googled Coon music, and this is what came up. I showed them the pictures while you were speaking, and you can see it. We scroll down. We don't have to go to Wikipedia. We can go to different sources, and the history of minstrelsy, ragtime, and coon song. So you know, if you Google coon song for yourself, you can see it. You know, so go ahead, Hakim.
Yeah. So you know, that's kind of where we are right now with the state of black music right now. They've used, you know, the tools of economics to back us into a corner. Now we got to play the part to get out, so to speak. There's another article that I linked to, an article by Norman Kelly, who references the Harvard report. But his article is more about the economy of black music, like how many billions of dollars black music has generated over the years and where that money goes, who controls it, who gets paid off of it.
Should I pull up the PDF or the other one you sent me?
Pull up the other one.
The Hartford .com joint.
Yeah, exactly.
The political. Okay,
the political economy of black music by Norman Kelly.
It's up.
Yeah, and you see Booker T. Washington, no race that has anything to contribute to the markets of the world is long in any degree ostracized. Booker T. Washington. And Russell Simmons says, black culture is too significant in American culture for blacks to be glorified employees. And, you know, that's kind of what essentially happened to us from the 60s on into the 80s with the creation of the black music department. Is we used to own something, and we gave up our ownership to floss, really, at the end of the day, to have the job, to get the white man to pat you on the head and say, good job, nigga. You made us another, send another 50 million, but you own nothing, you know. The dope thing about hip hop though is that hip hop took us back to independence.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, because we hadn't figured out the play, they ran the same play on us again. They give us hip hop labels, and you know the most successful hip hop label outside of Def Jam, you got Def Jam, probably Interscope, and then Bad Boy.
And who gave you that?
Clive Davis gave you that.
Yeah.
Back to Clive Davis.
Yeah, Alicia Keys. You know, without, you know, because I know some of this information sometimes. I love my audience. My audience is very intelligent, so they're gonna do the research and they're gonna look up some of the things that we put out there for them. So shout out to my audience. You know, they're very, very intelligent. They love hearing stuff like this. But for a newcomer who just came to the channel, who just seen the title, how could we reduce this to the simplest terms without saying they gave niggas money? For example, if you was to look at music today, right, and what's the best example of how we lost our independence? Because I mean, I guess it's basically selling out. You know, when they give you money, you sold out. How do we lose our independence and went mainstream with our labels?
Wait. I'm trying to understand the question exactly.
Oh, the question would be, if we have to reduce this, if we had to say, for example, because they'll say niggas is making money. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Got you.
Yeah, you know, because they're able to show whips. Go ahead.
Right. All right. So, you know, let's just say like the cash money is not actual money. The real value, you are the real value. You write the money, right? You create the money. You create the value. Now, I think a perfect person that somewhat taught us that in the last 25 years was Master P.
Got you.
Right? Because Master P kept it independent. Master P said, okay, New York want to shut the South out. When we say New York or L.A., right? That's where the corporations are. A lot of times we be riding for New York artists, right, who ain't really from New York. They're signed to a New York label.
Got you.
Or somebody who's from the West Coast signed to a corporation, a Capital, or, you know, EMI, or Sony, you know, whatever. They're not bound by no region, right? So, you know, New York record labels is in New York. So when things are regional, when it pops off in New York, the record labels is right there. They buy it, bring it up, whatever. That's why New York independent scene was so weak, because we sitting right next to the labels, right? The labels is going to the same clubs. The labels is up in the parties. So when they hit a talent, they come in, drop whatever they drop, soak the talent up and bring it back. Master P being from down south, you don't have no record labels all up in your shit like that. You get to control the market. The Luke down here in Miami, he gets to control his market. Well, what's the market? The market is where the product is. Well, where's the product? The product is the nightclub. The product is the dances. The product is in the streets. The product is the barbershop. The market is the barbershop. The market is the hair salon. Where's my people that's going to actually buy my product? Where do they exist? Ain't no white boy in no shirt going in the hood like that to figure out the market. So you got a black dude or a black woman going, you know what? There's a market here that needs to be fulfilled. I got the relationship with the guy who presses up the record. I'll just put my little money, no matter how I got my money, I'll take my money and press up these records and hand them to the DJs. Make sure the DJ got a little something in his pocket. Now the DJ is looking at you like, oh, you the man. Oh, you that woman right there. You gonna come through with the new music, you got the new sound and new style, and you gonna drop me something in my sleeve? What else you got for me? Now, if that person right there got some consciousness to him, oh my God, it's dangerous. He's dangerous. If that person got any amount of consciousness to him, they're dangerous.
Could I add something?
I need that nigga right there to be the dumbest nigga in the world.
Could I add something? Because
he got all the power.
Could I add something? Could I add something with Master P? What also made Master P dangerous that people didn't realize, he also had a record store. Right now, the importance of the record store, that was his first initial investment, was his record store. The importance of a record store is that when you get distribution, where do your records go? To the record store. He has his own store. So now he's able to press his music, do his music, and put it in his store, where everybody else has to deliver their records to his store because he has a mom and pop store. So now he gets to talk to who? Distributors. So now he gets to understand distribution. So
Right.
now we gave up our distribution because we put
We
everything on
gave up
streaming
because
platforms
we
now.
put right. As long as I can shine for myself, I don't
Yeah.
care about everybody else.
So I seen
So you
last
just
year.
destroyed
Yeah, I
you
seen
just
last year.
destroyed the lives of families so you can get a check
Yeah,
at a label.
I seen last year, you know, and salute to everybody who did it, and I guess it's an accomplishment. But I seen a lot of people showing how many streams they had for the year. It was so many people putting up these things. Yeah, I streamed 20 million, I streamed 6 million, but when you break down the numbers of what you earn
Hmm.
from your streams, it's horrific.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because the word algorithm
Mm-hmm.
has rhythm in it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you study the algorithm of like
YouTube. Let's do,
you,
let me break that down from my point of view, because even YouTube, with the views on YouTube, they did something to mess up the algorithms, because I consider myself to have a big channel based off my subscriber base, but the views
mhm.
really don't reflect sometimes the amount of subscribers I have, because they did something to the algorithm. This is, you know, this is information that I'm not supposed to indulge, so I'm not going to go too far into it. You
Mhm.
know, behind the scenes, I'll talk to some people about it, or whatever the case may be, or maybe in a later broadcast I'll talk about it. But I don't know if the viewers realize it's not that people are not watching it. It's what's being pushed to the forefront of the. That's what the algorithm is. The way they messed up, for people who might not have a YouTube, the way they messed up the Instagram algorithm, the way you used to see
Right.
people post, now you don't see certain posts anymore. The way on Facebook, you could have a friend and you'd be like, damn, I don't see any posts of theirs anymore. They messed up the algorithm of what you are able to see. So certain
Yo,
things. Oh, go ahead, Hakeem. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no. Keep finish.
Yeah,
Finish what
it's
you're saying.
certain things that you're able to see and why they want you to see it, and certain things are pushed to the front of the
Okay.
algorithm. So go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, where I was going with the word algorithm, I'm glad you did that because where I was going with it was they've figured out the algorithm to keep black people, like real black people who love
Mm-hmm.
black people who want to do. They've created an algorithm to mess up the natural flow of our rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So, so as we gain power in the music industry, they do something to disempower us, and we so blind we don't realize they changed the algorithm. It's not that everybody wants to hear trap music or is only trap artists.
Mm-hmm.
That's only what we're pushing to the front right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's an algorithm,
Mm-hmm.
and we go, well, how come black people here? How come black people? Because we keep giving into their algorithm. We have to create our own algorithm that's not dependent upon them. And then it don't matter how many times they say so and so clicked on. I know my people over here that support me. I know where they at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy that you broke down the algorithm, but in internet lingo.
Yeah. Because you know I'm
You
a
know, like it's
gangster.
not that I don't have the subscribers or there's not people interested in my stuff. It's just that they switched the algorithm on me, so some of my stuff or certain things aren't getting pushed up. People are not being exposed to it. It's crazy.
For example, like you have people who go live on YouTube every day. You have people who do different things, and many of the things they talk about might be more gossip, more ratchet, or whatever the case may be. Now we know it's a very
Yeah.
big market for that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not mad at nobody for doing that. That's what they do. But they would rather that be pushed in the forefront more than us speaking about this, more than me speaking about health, more than me speaking about different things pertaining to our society and what's going on with us. Right now, the hot topic would be what? Everything R. Kelly is going to get pushed to the front because that's the hot topic. Not because people even care, but because the algorithm, that's a keyword.
Right.
You got keywords, you got different things. So I would almost have to say Hakeem Green, and we speaking on Clive Davis, and put Survivor R. Kelly in the tag for maybe it to pop up because the R. Kelly thing got pushed in the front. Now, when you look at the R. Kelly thing, it's so many people making money off of this situation, and we are making the
Right.
least amount of money. We the ones who have all the talking points and all the opinions. But come on, man, R. Kelly has generated billions of dollars, and he just generated
Yeah.
more money because he
There's
was
more
number
money in the
one.
last couple of days.
This is
I
what
know
I'm
last
saying.
last week. Last week, Yeah, I was watching The View yesterday, and they were talking about him on The View. You know, it's the whole situation, and you know, you got these white women, white and black women, but the white women on the View were taking a position that like they was exposed to something that they never thought of existed.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
like
right.
it's just open. And I'm like, man, this conversation about this dude doing this thing right here is being talked about by mainstream America. Mainstream America right now is talking about that.
Yeah, because
That's what when they think of our community, that's what they think of right
exactly
now.
because that's the algorithm. But Roman Polanski is not talked about. Woody Allen is not talked about.
It's not
The
talked
Roman
about.
Catholic Church is not talked about. And this is not caping for R. Kelly. Don't get it twisted.
It's not.
But
No,
we're saying,
no.
all we're saying is that this is another conversation that we might have, we might not have. We don't want to go off track, but in closing, we just want to say, make it all a even playing field. If this is what y'all doing, do it all across the board.
Yeah.
If this is what you're doing, the rabbit hole goes deep.
It goes deep, and we make exceptions. We got rules and we got exceptions to the rule. And you figure out people who are about who they make exceptions for.
But let's tie it now. Let's tie it all back in on a higher level. Who we talking about in this presentation?
Clive Davis.
Okay, I could go there, but I ain't gonna go there. But what role?
I want to go in a particular place.
Go ahead.
I'm from East Orange. Right? I'm from East Orange.
I
grew up with Whitney Houston as a very influential person from my area. Like, you know, she's probably got me by like, Whitney's probably maybe 6 or 7 years older than me, right? And but growing up, you know, all my older cousins and aunts and whatever, they go, oh, Whitney, Nippy. So even before Bobby Brown, like I knew, you know, Whitney was partying, like she was out there like that, right? That was her reputation. And, you know, we knew when she was modeling and when she got the record deal with Clive Davis, you know, we knew that, and we knew what her lifestyle was then. This is, you know, this is the early 80s. This is really just coming out of the Studio 54 era. You know, Studio 54, when we was kids, was bananas. Like, it was a wild, it was Sodom and Gomorrah straight up. It was a wild place to be.
Hakim,
and
could I say something?
Yeah,
You're older than me. I don't know shit about Studio 54. I have no clue.
Wow. Now, like Studio 54, like, you know, this was like 1979, 1980. I was like 19 years old, but you would see it on the news.
I wasn't born.
Or whatever entertainment show. Whatever entertainment show was on TV, they would talk about Studio 54.
Yeah, because I'm like, Studio 54, I've heard of it, but you like, yeah, when we was kids, I'm like, nah, when I was a kid, it was the Muse and Home Base and shit like that. Yeah,
myself, right?
Yeah, right? I'm like,
nah.
Studio 54, 74, I wasn't even born.
It is what it is.
Okay.
I'll be 50 in a month. It is what it is.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm just the environment, the atmosphere, the culture of the music industry, entertainment industry, right? We knew Whitney was a party girl. We now know Whitney was a party girl, right? But Bobby Brown got all the blame. From an imaging point of view, Bobby Brown, we thought, introduced her to the life.
Was the bad boy.
When in actuality, she introduced more of the life to him. I mean, he was already in the life, but she opened up doors that he had never imagined, because if she's tied to really one of the most powerful men in the music industry, and that's Clive Davis. So when we talk about artist development and keeping young people safe, keeping young girls, now you can say, oh, 14, 15, 16, 17, like a young girl, you look at a young girl, if she's a young girl, you're 40, she's in her young 20s, you want to make sure she matures and she's not, you know, fucked over. She ain't fucking traumatized.
Well, he signed her as a teenager.
Crackhead. She ain't motherfucking selling her ass, you know what I mean? You want to make sure she's fucking, you know, she's solid. And we know that for a long time, Whitney wasn't solid.
And he signed her as a teenager, right? He signed her as a teenager.
Yeah, he signed her as a teenager. I'm not saying it's Clive Davis's responsibility. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if you're going to give her all that fucking money.
Whose responsibility is it then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whose responsibility is it then?
Yeah, because
he's the one with the financial stake in her. Like, he's the one with the financial stake in her. He's the one. He's the one. So I'm not saying he's responsible, but shit, who should be?
Yeah. And it's funny because when we go back to it, unfortunately, what I'm gonna possibly cover later on with even with the R. Kelly situation. Who is responsible? Because what's happening in society is that we're turning an eye to things, and then when it spirals out of control, we're like, "How did this happen?" Like, well, we was watching it happen. You was
We
watching.
watched it happen.
You,
We saw it.
yeah,
Yo, man, Whitney Houston could have been, her life could have been saved. Too many people knew. They named a school after her in East Orange. Now, I used to teach in East Orange. So the naming the school after her, I think, happened like right when I was leaving or right after I left, right? But when they did it, I was upset over it. And I was like, I'm telling my mom, she also worked for the Board of Ed. I'm like, that's a bad idea. I said, that's a bad move. What do you mean, Hakim? That's not a bad move. It's good. I said, yo, man, Whitney Houston's a crackhead.
damn,
Like,
you going to hell.
I mean,
It is what
no,
it
I mean,
is. Yeah.
she's going to crackhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's in the church and she sings about the Lord and she's got no doubt she's one of the greatest voices on the planet. But she's a crackhead.
You know what's funny? When I'm talking about, and this all ties back into Coon music and all these things that was created and studied, well, through the studies and through the creations. When we look at how the train, people watch it derail, we can bring up the names in the recent years, the Fredo Santanas, the people who glorify lean use and people think it's funny until they die. Then everybody's like, rest in peace. The
Too late, man.
Yeah, the Mac Millers, the individuals who we know are on drugs, doing drugs, and everybody think it's cute when a person says, yeah, I'm popping a pill, I'm popping a perk, I'm eating Xanax, I'm doing sipping lean and all that, and everybody it's kind of cute, but this goes back to what we're saying. This has been marketed. This is a part of the market.
Promoted.
This is a part of the study.
Yep.
This is a part of the study. How could we take music, black music, at one particular point was about love, peace, and soul.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all about I fucked on the ass for an hour and I'm killing my ops. You know what I'm saying? Like when get Hakim, if you could right now, give me one active R&B group right now that just cut a record within the last 3 years. Give me one.
Group? I can't. Not group. I can't. Group. That's purposeful.
Exactly.
Like this article I mentioned earlier, The Political Economy of Black Music by Norman Kelly, right? This is really, really good, and I got to get back into it because he talks about not just the music, but how the music makes money and where that money goes and who eats off of it. And one of the things that he touches on is why there are no groups. Like it's easier to put out one person than it is to put out 2, 3, 4. You got 2, 3, 4 people. That's more expensive. If I can get the same profit off the one person, then I'll just keep the group in dissension so I could steal the one, right? But then even like the mechanical royalty rate, keeping people ignorant of that. Publishing and how publishing works, keeping people ignorant of that. Not allowing an artist to write on their music, keeping there's so many ways of disenfranchising an artist that you could be a Whitney Houston, and not say that she was broke because we think she had major money, but you could be a Whitney Houston and be broke. You can generate the value that a Whitney Houston, a Michael Jackson, you can do that, but you're not seeing any of that money. TLC, for instance, their whole story, interesting is the Locks, their story. I got a blog up, what every artist should know about Diddy, which really flips the script on, you got to know what you're signing. People aren't taking your value from you. You're giving it away.
To them. Yep.
You're giving it away. You didn't read your contract. If you read your contract, got yourself a lawyer who would break it down for you and help you understand what's actually in the details, then you can say, you know what? No, I want this. I want that. I don't want this. A lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of time, an executive will go, you know what? I didn't even know that was there. You know what? Change that around.
Yeah, because most of the time, they give you a standard contract, and it's up to your lawyer to say, whoa. Come on, man. Don't do that.
Right.
Nowadays,
their lawyer is hired to protect his interest.
Well,
So what is
nowadays,
interest? That's all money, value.
nowadays, dudes are downloading contracts right off the internet. They have standard contracts, and it's up to you to make different, changes, different amendments, different things within the contract, and get your own lawyer. If
Lawyer. Yeah.
anybody that is your opposition, it's almost like, let me break this down for street terms for my people and for people who know. The DA does not represent you. If you are the person who was arrested for a crime, the DA is not on your side. Okay?
Not
The
gonna be.
DA is
That's right.
here to get you convicted. Now, unless you a snitch and a rat and you turn state's evidence, that's different. But if you are convicted, if you committed a crime, the district attorney is not your lawyer. You have to get your own lawyer. Shit, the public defender sometimes ain't even your lawyer because him and the DA they cool. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot that you have to go into. So all right, Hakim, how could we close out?
Um, the power of black music, the power of black people, us understanding our value and what really happens when we use our voices and our talents, our creativity, like from we drive commerce. It's advertising, it's actual products being sold, whether it's cars, real estate, clothing, that's got hip hop all over it. We say hip hop, we talking about black people. Don't get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody was involved in the early days, but hip hop is black culture. We should control that culture and the money that derives from that culture. So I think that understanding how we lost it and where we were at before we lost it will help us understand how to regain it,
But before you say that though, can you explain briefly? Because people gonna get it misconstrued. They're gonna think, Hakim, what are you talking about? JayZ's a billionaire off of black culture and black music. Puff is a billionaire. Kodak Black is getting money. I seen him go get a Wraith. He has a 21-room mansion. This person has this. What do you mean we're not getting money? No, niggas is getting money. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get money like him. Explain what you're saying and why they're really not.
Right. I think Dr. Claude Anderson is a great person to research, right?
Okay.
He's an economist. And what he explains and shows very clearly how, any business can't survive without a market. And a market is basically a community, right? So though you can name individuals, right, that have independently, for themselves gained great heights, the goal is to build a community so the whole group, like what LL and Ice Cube are doing together by buying radio stations around the country, radio and TV stations, is a brilliant, brilliant look. That's what it's about, is us coming together and owning the vehicles of owning the creative mechanism, owning the production, owning the distribution, owning the thing, not just doing it and somebody else owning it. I think what JayZ did with Tidal is phenomenal. I think it's very, very dope. I think that's to be congratulated. And I think Puffy owning his own companies and owning real estate and owning, I think all of those things are phenomenal. It's not a knock on any individual person, but it's just to say collectively as a group, we could be so much further if more of us thought like this, right? Or just not thought like this, recognize when people were trying to play us.
Gotcha.
We would be further along in the game now if those people in the 70s and the 80s could have managed to keep it together. Another great example is Negro League Baseball. The reason why Negro League Baseball had to be destroyed was because Negro League Baseball was going to outperform, quote unquote, Major League Baseball.
Facts.
The entertainment value in Negro League Baseball was greater than the quote unquote major leagues, and the major leagues were losing white audiences to the Negro Leagues. So that's why they had to integrate baseball.
Yeah.
They'd have us thinking that we needed them, when in actuality, no, they needed us.
Wouldn't that be the same for like the the ABA also? Because Dr. J was
I said,
the stars was in
right.
the ABA, boy.
Yeah, I mean, your business model has a lot to do with it, but a lot of times, and I'm guilty, I'm included. A lot of times, we'll abandon something and not stick to it because it's a greater purpose. So we'll get caught up in the moment and we'll be on some, fuck that nigga, I ain't fucking with him right now.
Yeah.
And like maybe we should just keep it together because in 10 years, if we keep it together, that little incident we had may not mean what sticking together meant.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we could add out there, independence is great. Independence need to be supported because a lot of times going corporate means that you give up your independence and you're also going to give up your voice. And I think that
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people don't recognize and realize. They think that Cash Money, they had all this money, they had all this distribution, Master P. Then once they do this deal with this person, how do you have a record label for 8-9 years, and then once you sign this major deal, your company is over in a few years? Something's not adding up. And again,
Yeah.
you might have gotten.
Well, they know we're gonna give it.
Yeah.
They know we're gonna give it back, but they get a lot of times they'll give us a whole bunch of money because they know we're gonna give it back.
But then they also do what? They end up taking your company.
Yeah.
They end up taking.
He's going through
company.
it.
Yeah.
He's going through it right now. Birdman's going through it right now, and you look at him. You look at Lil Wayne. Like Lil Wayne is he's worth a lot of money. But if your mind ain't clear,
yeah,
it's kind of just a matter of time.
And it's funny because they blame a lot of people blame Birdman for Lil Wayne not getting his money, and it's not even Birdman. Birdman has a boss, Universal Republic, and that's another thing one day we could, possibly break down for them. They think Birdman has Lil Wayne's money somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work like that. And Suge Knight, in closing, Suge Knight said something that was very, very deep at one point. He said a lot of people got logo deals. and people didn't understand that. A lot of people got logo deals because a lot of times when you say this record label, where does this record label exist? There is no office. There is no acting staff.
No, I like to say the record label is the label on the record.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's a logo. The label is the logo. That's all a label. It's a label. Like a label is really, it's a label that you put on. It's a label. It's no building. It's no like you think, oh, I'm at the label. This is this building with all these workers, and it could be just one person with a dope logo that puts that on everything he touches.
Mm-hmm.
That's the label.
Okay.
Where is it based out of? My phone.
Yeah.
My phone.
Yeah. Because that's all you really need nowadays. Shit, you got virtual offices these days. You know what I'm saying? All you need is a damn email, and a phone. That's a record label. You
got kids doing beats, whole songs, artwork, everything on their phone. Shoot the video on their phone. Do everything on their phone. The whole thing is on their phone, and then they just upload it to streaming services from the. You can do everything from your phone.
Yeah. But
if you don't understand your real value, it don't matter.
Yeah, because the value.
You're gonna give it all to you're gonna give it to your oppressor anyway.
The reason why that's funny that you say that. And I'm gonna close out this because this is a conversation we really can talk about all night. But I do want to say this to people. A lot of times you upload your music on a streaming service and you don't get paid, meaning that, you might be told that, even for you people that's new to YouTube, you might start a YouTube page and YouTube might tell you, you don't have enough minutes watched to monetize your page. You don't have enough subscribers to monetize your page. That sounds good. But when you upload your video, is there still ads on that page? So somebody's getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they make us believe that we're not worth anything, or what we're doing is not worth something to get money. But somebody always gets paid. It just ain't you.
Somebody always gets paid. Yo, Gavin, I just not having to do with the music business, but with grocery shopping, right?
Right.
Just when used to be a time when you go grocery shopping, right? You would do your shopping, cart, whatever, put it up on the thing. Now they got self-checkout. right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, included in buying something is the person ringing it up, putting it in the bag for you, and maybe even walking it out to the car with you, right? Now it's self-checkout. So you're doing somebody else's job that they used to have to pay for, right?
Mm-hmm.
I used to have to pay a person to do this thing for me. I don't have to pay a person to do this thing for me. But did the price of that product go down?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So now you're buying something, and you're doing some of the work that's built into the cost of the thing.
Yeah.
Somebody just came up by not having to pay somebody to do it for them.
To break that down again, I know we keep saying we going we going off, but
Crazy. It's crazy.
in restaurants when you charge how you mark the prices of your plate in your menu, you got to put in cost of the food, the preparation, and the people who have to serve the food. So that's how you get the cost. So now even when you think about mass transit and Metro cards, you go to the machine now to get your Metro
Right.
card. So what is the person in the booth for now? The apps are on your phone to let you know the train schedule. You could go to Google Maps and say, how do I get to Times Square? It's going to tell you everything. It'll walk with you and tell you you're 300 feet away from your destination is on the right. And it will walk with you while you're walking. So again, what you said was very, very essential, how they're cutting people out of the equation, but not lowering the cost. But they're still charging like somebody else has to be paid to do this.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yep.
So with that, Hakim,
Crazy.
I'm gonna put on the screen, I'm gonna put all of your information so they know where to find you at. So as you can see, this is Hakim Green on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Twitter, Instagram. Just put in Hakim Green, HKIM.
HAKIMGREEN. Hakim Green.
Yeah.
Dumb Trump. All we
is,
do is spark madism.
Yeah. All over. He's on all streaming platforms. And he's on everything. Facebook, whatever. Hakim Green. Your contact came up, your email came up. Let's hide that. So that's what it is. As always, I thank you for joining me, and us always having a talking point. We got other stuff to talk about. Maybe one day they might get these other conversations that we have off the camera and off the screen.
Oh wow, maybe one day. I don't know if they're ready for that though.
Yeah,
we get it in. We go in.
Yeah. I don't know if you're ready for that, because it gets a little, crazy stuff like that. But we like to talk about things because we kind of predict a lot of things, and it's a lot of revelations out there that we pretty much know about before they're gonna happen, and then when it comes to fruition, we just talk about how we already knew certain things, and it's not in a sense of predicting what's gonna happen. It's stuff that we already know, but it's not public knowledge, and when it becomes public, we say, yo, this is what happened because I saw this. Not no R. Kelly shit. Don't get it twisted. We ain't never seen it.
Just in terms of when it comes to this hip hop shit.
Exactly.
We know that we know the algorithm.
Exactly. The algorithm. Yeah.
And you see it coming.
And that's why they changed. Listen, they changed. I'm telling y'all, they keep changing the algorithm. That's why every time you update your Instagram, every time you update your Facebook, you update your Twitter, they put a new operating system. They do different things. That's because they're making changes. And you keep saying why they keep changing stuff. And then you say, damn, I was somebody's friend. I don't see none of they posts no more. And a lot of times we get angry at people like, yo, this dude ain't liking my shit. He ain't even sharing my stuff. They don't see it. They don't see it. Believe it or not, you getting pushed.
Can I get a people just a heads up? And I don't know if you but somebody put me on to Queen Najaha. She put me on to how they got these bots now. They got these bots that just read algorithms. So, you might have somebody in your friends list that trolls you, right? Or just says like outrageous stuff, and stuff they know that's gonna push your buttons, or they might come off and it's not even a real person. It's a computer generated profile.
Wow.
That's answering questions based on algorithms or responding based on algorithms. So it's you upset, you mad, you angry, you want to go out and strangle somebody because of some beef you got on Facebook, got into on Facebook, and it's not even a real person.
Wow. Terrible, 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 terrible. All right, so with that, Hakim, I thank you for joining me as always.
My brother.
Always a pleasure.
Yes,
yeah, we'll build later on. Dump Trump is all over on featuring my song is on YouTube, on all streaming platforms. And y'all can get that. Do you also have a website? What's the website again?
Yes, dumptrump.global. Dumptrump.global.
Well, this is how fly this is. Let's bring it up right now. Hold on.
Come on, let's go. Bow.
Dumptrump.global. We'll go right to the right on the screen and put it on the screen for them. Okay, there we go. They can see it right now. Dumptrump.global. So they can see that home, shop, men's, women, accessories. You can see it in the URL box, dumptrump.global. It's merch, hoodies, cups, bags, dad hats, t-shirts, dresses for women's basketball jerseys, and everything.
Oh yeah,
so
we got the whole thing. Male, female jerseys, tees, and we don't really get that unisex thing. I got respect for the women form, so we got our product.
All forms of payment.
Tees,
American Express.
Hey, cut for women.
Listen.
Hey, cut for women. And then we got the male tees, basketball jerseys, baseball jerseys, football jerseys, hats, gullies, all that.
Oh, and all forms of payment. PayPal,
oh yeah.
American Express. We have to say
gotta
that.
Make it easy for the people. Gotta make it easy.
So look, if we go to dumptrump.global, let's see. I'm gonna click on this T-shirt for y'all. You can see the T-shirt. You can see the size chart right here. It goes up to 3X. If you're a little bit bigger, sorry. And it has black. We can see the black one right here. We can see the blue one right here. Let's go to the blue one. Yeah, we see the blue one. Let's go to the white one right here. So he has different. If for the women out there, we could go to the women. We click on women's. This is a different thing for women. You can see women's T-shirt, women's football jersey. Let's go to a women's T-shirt. He said it's cut for women, so it has different flavors. For women. Small 2X. So for the women who's big boobed it and big backed it, it got something for you too. So that's what it is. So Hakim, I thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, bro.
I'll build with you later on.
My dude.
All right, peace. All right, so that was Hakim Green of the Almighty Group Channel Live. That's what it is. I thank him for joining me for building. Hopefully y'all got some information from what we're talking about. I'm going to put all the links in the description box for you to be able to do some research for yourself. So if you reference this video, you can go to the point of reference and say the people where you got it from and read some of the articles for yourself. So with that, I'm Doggie Diamonds. Thank y'all for joining me. Doggie Diamonds TV, you know what I do. But what I'm about to do, I'm about to get out of here. I need a haircut. I'm wolfing. I look like Castaway right now, the black version of Castaway. So let me go get my haircut. I'm out of here. Peace. You are now watching Doggie Diamonds TV. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Also, you want to hit the bell so you can get all notifications of when I'm going live or when I upload new content. And don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment on this channel. Peace.